A new report out this week captures the scale of Russia's system of supervising Ukrainian children uprooted during this war. The Conflict Observatory found more than 6,000 children in Russian custody, spread out between at least 43 facilities, stretching from Russian-occupied Crimea to Russia's eastern coast. And the report found that the primary purpose of these camps is, quote, re-education, and that Ukrainian children from 2 of the camps have been placed with foster families in Russia. For more on this, we're joined by Nathaniel Raymond, who's the executive director of the Conflict Observatory. They're an American NGO that analyzes and publicizes available evidence of alleged Russian-perpetrated war crimes in Ukraine. Nathaniel, thank you so much for making time for us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Nathaniel, I want to read something, a quote of yours, I should say. Consider this report a gigantic Amber Alert that we are issuing on Ukraine's children. That language is so powerful. Who are these 6,000 children that are currently in these re-education camps?
Well, the first thing to say is we think the number is significantly higher than 6,000, but 6,000 is the number we can corroborate and verify with 100% confidence. There are 2 groups of kids that are in this system of 43 or more facilities. Group 1 are children from Donetsk and Luhansk, which are Russia-occupied areas in the Donbass in Ukraine's east. The second group are referred to by Russia as evacuees, and they are children from Kherson, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and in some cases Mariupol, that when Russia invaded were taken from Ukrainian state institutions such as orphanages or homes for disabled children and moved into Russia. So the majority of the children are from Donetsk and Luhansk and are in these re-education camps, which are former, in many cases, former Soviet-era pioneer camps from the Cold War.
And when we say they're in re-education camps, what does that mean?
Well, for the majority, they are in a program, a curriculum of Russian patriotic education. They're not allowed to speak Ukrainian. They are getting history lessons, and they are learning patriotic songs and, in many cases, folk tales. But in the case of 2 camps, one in Chechnya and the other in Crimea, boys from ages of 14 to 17 are getting firearms training and also training in operating military vehicles.
But the age ranges are quite vast. Some are infants, as I understand it.
The youngest is 4 months, yes.
And so, Nathaniel, are these children, 4-month-old infant, are they getting love? Are they getting nurtured? Are they being taken care of?
Our primary source of information about what's happening in these camps, Natasha, are the statements of Russia's own officials. And so from the Russian perspective, everything is sunshine and rainbows in the camps. But the reality from a second source of information we have, which is the social media messages we've analyzed from parents who are searching for their children, is we're hearing stories of kids who have gotten out with immense trauma.
Oh my goodness. Now, I've seen reports where some Ukrainians have intentionally sent their children over to Russia so that there would be a degree of protection, but now they are not being permitted to be reunited with their children. How often is that happening? Are they getting any kind of support in these reunifications?
Well, we see this story over and over again of parents who, in a totally understandable way, saw an opportunity to get their kids out of the front line and to be able to get them a break from the war. In many cases, it was teachers and local community council members and other community leaders that were encouraging their parents to send their kids to these camps during the fighting, particularly in the Donbass. And we have examples that we found of the power of attorney forms that these parents had to sign to send their kids. And basically, the Russian side of the form, which a Russia government agent would sign, was left blank. And so these parents basically signed over power of attorney to an unknown entity.
The purpose of the re-education camps, I hear you that it's to sort of indoctrinate them into a certain Russian ideology, but Does that simultaneously mean to erase their Ukrainianness?
100%. Yes, on Thursday, Vladimir Putin had a press conference with our press availability at the Kremlin with Maria Lvova-Belova, who is the woman that we and others identify as being the head of this program, the Child Rights Commissioner of Russia. And during that, basically, Putin is praising the effort to re-educate these children and calls for the system to be expanded by up to additional 2,000 children as soon as possible.
You know, there have been allegations of crimes against humanity. The evidence seems to be clear in your report. And most recently, we've heard from Kamala Harris, the U.S. Vice President, speaking in Munich, also talking about crimes against humanity carried out by Russia. I wonder, is there enough evidence at this point to move forward in any kind of legal aspect?
Yes, period. We have enough now to charge potentially multiple different types of crimes against humanity. In the case of this report, it's important to note for your viewers that one of the first trials at Nuremberg was for Nazis who transferred children, Jewish children, into then called a Germanification program to erase national or ethnic identity. And underneath the 1998 Rome Statute, I think as was mentioned before, and under the Genocide Convention, it is a crime against humanity to intentionally try to erase the ethnic or national identity of a child through transferring from one group to another. And that's clearly what's happened here. And the Russians have stated that that's the intended purpose.
Nathaniel Raymond, I know you have been bombarded with phone calls and interest, particularly with the news coming out of Munich. I thank you again for your time today.
Thank you for discussing this important story.
Take care.